Hey guys, Cameron Marshall here. Made a list of the top 10 college running backs going into the 2012 season. These running backs are, in fact, in my opinion. So you can leave a comment. Feel free to leave comments if I missed somebody or if one of your favorite running backs you think should have made the top 10. I will read it and I will make a revised version of what you think or who you think should be in the top 10. I started off with some honorable mentions who were big parts of their offices and for their teams last year. And I looked for them to have a good season this year, but they just didn't crack my top 10 list. Sierra Wood out of Notre Dame, 1,102 rush yards, 9 touchdowns. He was a big part of this Notre Dame offense last year. But of course, they're a little pass heavy because of Michael Floyd, their number one wide receiver. As you know, he was first round to the Cardinals this year. Big loss for them. So they'll look to run the ball more this season, and he will be a big part of the Notre Dame offense. Montel Harris, Boston College running back last year. He's no transfer to Temple after he was dismissed for violation of team rules. 135 yards last year, no touchdowns, only played in 2 games because of that season-ending knee injury. I expect him to have a good season at Temple, even though he has to share carries with Marcus Brown. Look for him to go over 1,000 yards this year and Temple to have a really good season. Christine Michael, 900 yards, 9 touchdowns last year with Texas A&M. He shared the carries with Cyrus Gray last year, who you know is in the NFL now. Look for him to be a big part of this Texas A&M offense this year. Also, they lost Ryan Tannehill, Jeff Fuller, so he will be a big part and may rush for 1,000, maybe even 1,500 yards next year. Henry Josie, freshman running back from Missouri last year, is about to be a sophomore. 1,168 yards, 9 touchdowns. He did all this in the Big 12 conference, which is a pretty good conference, but now moving on to bigger and better things for the SEC conference. So when he plays teams like Alabama and LSU, Georgia, with stellar defenses, that'll be his real test to whether he is a top 10 running back or not. Um, I still expect him to have 1,000 yard season, even though he moved to the SEC. So just look for him and be on the lookout for this guy. That's it for my honorable mentions. Now we're going to the top 10. My number 10 running back, Ray Graham, out of Pittsburgh. Only played in 8 games last year because he had that season-ending knee injury. 964 yards, 9 touchdowns. He was a big part of this offense. As you know, when he fell off because of the injury, they struggled to move the ball upfield during the running game. They still had a winning season, but I expect them to have a much better season now that Ray Graham is back in their offense. My number 9 running back, Joseph Randall, Oklahoma State. As you know, they were a pass-heavy offense last year with Brandon Weeden and Justin Blackman. They're also in the NFL now. He still managed to break 1,000 yards, exactly 1,216 yards, 24 touchdowns. Now with Justin Blackman and Brandon Weeden gone, I expect them to run the ball a lot more. So expect him to have a 1,500-yard season if he stays healthy. My number 8 running back out of North Carolina, Giovanni Bernard. Freshman last year, 1,253 yards, 13 touchdowns. I expect him to have a much better season this year now that he got the field at the college level. I expect him to have close to a 1,500-yard season, maybe 15 touchdowns this year. Number 7, Malcolm Brown out of Texas. He was a freshman last year. As you know, Fozzie Whitaker had a starting job until he tore his ACL. Malcolm Brown stepped in and did a stellar job. 742 carries, 5 touchdowns. Excuse me, 742 yards and 5 touchdowns. Had a pretty good season last year as a freshman. His sophomore season, I expect him to have a much better season, go over 1,000 yards. My number 6 running back, Stephon Taylor out of Stanford. He lined up behind Andrew Luck a lot. They ran the ball a lot, 1,330 yards, 10 touchdowns. As you know, Andrew Luck is in the NFL now with the Colts. They've been looking to run the ball even more than he did last year. So expect him to have close to a 1,500-yard season and possibly 15 touchdowns if he stays healthy. My number 5 running back, Andre Ellison out of Clemson. 1,178 yards, 11 touchdowns. He's one of the smaller running backs in the league or in the NCAA, but he uses his speed to find the holes in defense and his shiftiness to make people miss in the open field. He clocked in at 40, about a 4.3, 4.4 range. So expect him to make big plays and find the opening and run for many more yards and a couple more touchdowns than he did last year. My number 4 running back, Rex Burkhead out of Nebraska. 1,357 yards, 15 touchdowns. big running back, 5'11", about 210, 215 pounds. He can make people miss the open field, very shifty. He can find the hole in the offensive line and break one whenever you need it. He will share the carries with backup running back Amir Abdullah, but I still expect him to have the same amount of rushing yards as he did last year, and Nebraska to have a good season. My number 3 running back is Silas Red. Played for Penn State last year, as you know, transferred to USC this year because of the Jerry Sandusky and Joe Paterno scandal. Had 1,241 rush yards last year and 7 touchdowns. Expect him to have a season just like he did this year with USC, even though he'll be carrying or sharing the carries with Curtis McNeil, who's the current USC running back. But I still expect him to have a good season. USC to be a national championship contender with Matt Barkley at the reins at quarterback. My number 2 running back, Marcus Lattimore, played in 7 games last year because he tore his ACL season an injury. Coming back this year, about 230 pounds, which is about what he was last year. So he'll be low to bring down. He had 818 rush yards last year and 11 touchdowns in 7 games. So I expect him to have a very, very good season next year. Even though he's coming off a knee injury, I know he's worked hard in this offseason to come back in this SEC conference and be a conference championship contender, possibly a national championship contender. And with his 11 touchdowns, I expect that to increase to about 15, and that 818 rush yards to increase to about, I would say, 1,200. And now, my number 1 running back, of course, as you know, this is my opinion, tied the record for touchdowns scored last season with 39. Montee Ball, 1,923 yards and 33 touchdowns on the ground last year from Wisconsin. 6 receiving touchdowns. He can do it all. He's a big running back, 212, 215 pounds. He can find the hole in the defense, and he can break a play at any time. It doesn't matter where he is. So those are my top 10 running backs. I'll go through it again. Number 10, Ray Graham. Number 9, Joseph Randle. Number 8, Giovanni Bernard. Number 7, Malcolm Brown. Number 6, Stephon Taylor. Number 5, Andre Ellington. Number 4, Rex Burkhead. Number 3, Silas Red. Number 2, Marcus Lattimore. Number 1, Montee Ball. All these people I expect to have good seasons next year and their teams to excel in their conferences. As you know, this is my first video. I expect to do some more top quarterbacks, top receivers, top defenders. So look for my channel. My name is Mega I'm a Pro. That's MEGA. I'm a Pro. So look for me. I'll try to be doing a lot more videos. In the meantime, before the college season starts, September 1st. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave your comments, and I'll read them.